The emergency beacon pierced through the cold vacuum of space like a desperate cry for help. Captain Sarah Chen read the distress signal on her console, her fingers trembling as she decoded the message. It came from Settlement 7, a human colony on the edge of explored space. All hands lost. Plague outbreak. Do not approach. One survivor remains. Sarah stared at the words, her heart sinking. Settlement 7 housed 3,000 colonists, including many families with children. The thought that only one person survived whatever happened there made her stomach turn. "Ma'am, what are your orders?" asked Lieutenant Rodriguez from the navigation station. Sarah looked around the bridge of the rescue ship Mercy. Her crew of 12 had answered distress calls before, but nothing like this. Still, they had sworn an oath to help those in need no matter the risk. "Set course for Settlement 7, maximum speed," she ordered. The journey took 18 hours. During that time, Sarah studied everything she could about the colony. Settlement 7 was established 5 years ago as a mining operation on planet Kepler 442c. The colonists were mostly families, drawn by the promise of a better life and good pay. They had built a small but thriving community in the planet's northern hemisphere. The last communication from the settlement came 3 weeks ago. It was a routine supply request, nothing suggesting trouble. Whatever happened there occurred fast and without warning. When the Mercy dropped out of hyperspace, Sarah felt her breath catch in her throat. The planet looked normal from orbit, its blue and green surface peaceful under the light of its star. But the silence from the settlement below told a different story. "Scanning for life signs," reported Dr. Kim from the science station. After a few moments, her face grew pale. "Captain, I'm picking up one human life sign. Very weak, and there's something else." "What is it?" "Another life form. Non-human, but the readings are strange. It's staying very close to the human signal." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Could it be what killed the colonists? Dr. Kim shook her head. "I don't think so. The biosignature is too small. Maybe 20 kilograms at most. 20 kilograms. About the size of a medium dog, Sarah thought. But what would a dog be doing on an alien planet? And why would it be with the only survivor? "Take us down," Sarah ordered. "Full biosafety protocols. Nobody leaves the ship without environmental suits." The Mercy descended through the atmosphere, its sensors mapping the settlement below. What they found made Sarah's heart break. The colony was intact but empty. Buildings stood undamaged. Vehicles sat where they were last parked, but not a single person moved through the streets. They landed in the settlement's central plaza. Through the ship's cameras, Sarah could see the community the colonists had built. There was a school, a medical center, shops, and rows of family homes. Everything looked normal except for the terrible silence. "Life signs are coming from the medical center," Dr. Kim reported. "Ground floor eastern wing." Sarah gathered her team. They wore full environmental suits with independent air supplies and carried medical equipment and emergency supplies. The walk from the ship to the medical center felt like a funeral march. The medical center's doors stood open. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows down the empty hallways. Their boots echoed on the hard floors as they followed Dr. Kim's scanner toward the life signs. They found them in the pediatric ward. Sarah stopped in the doorway, her heart breaking at the sight before her. On a small bed lay a human baby, maybe 8 months old, unconscious and clearly dying. The child's breathing was shallow, skin pale and covered with strange dark marks. But what made Sarah gasp was what lay beside the bed. A golden retriever sat on the floor next to the child. His fur matted and dirty, his eyes filled with exhaustion. The dog looked up when they entered, his tail giving a weak wag, but he didn't move from his position. His body blocked anyone from reaching the baby from that side. "How is this possible?" whispered Dr. Martinez, the team's medic. Sarah approached slowly, her hands raised to show she meant no harm. The dog watched her carefully but didn't growl or show aggression. Instead, he seemed relieved to see other humans. "Hey there, boy," Sarah said softly through her suit's speaker. "You've been taking care of the baby, haven't you?" The dog's response nearly brought tears to her eyes. He gently nudged the baby's hand with his nose, then looked back at Sarah with eyes that seemed to say, "Please help him." Dr. Martinez moved to examine the child while Dr. Kim scanned the area for clues about what had happened. The readings were puzzling. "Captain," Dr. Kim called from across the room, "I'm detecting trace amounts of an unknown pathogen in the air, but it's almost completely inert now. Whatever caused the outbreak seems to have run its course." Sarah knelt beside the dog, studying his condition. He was thin and dehydrated. Clearly hadn't eaten properly in days, maybe weeks. But somehow he had survived when 3,000 humans had not. Martinez, what's the baby's condition? The medic looked up, his face grim behind his helmet. Severe dehydration, malnutrition, and the same pathogen markers I'm seeing everywhere else. But he's alive. Barely, but alive. How long can you keep him stable? With our equipment? Maybe a few hours. He needs advanced medical care that we can't provide here. Sarah looked at the dog again. Something about this situation didn't make sense. Why had this one baby survived when everyone else died? And how had a dog managed to stay alive and healthy enough to care for a sick child? As if reading her thoughts, the dog stood up and walked to a corner of the room. There, Sarah saw something that made her gasp. A small pile of opened supply containers, medical equipment arranged in careful patterns, and what looked like a makeshift water collection system. The dog had been actively caring for the baby. Dr. Kim knelt beside the makeshift care station the dog had created, her scanner beeping rapidly as she analyzed the setup. What she found defied everything she knew about animal behavior. "Captain, you need to see this," she called, her voice filled with amazement. The dog didn't just find these supplies. He arranged them systematically. Sarah joined her, studying the corner more carefully. Medical IV bags hung from jury-rigged stands made from furniture legs. Tubes ran to the baby's bed, delivering a slow drip of nutrition fluid. Empty food containers were stacked neatly, and a complex system of plastic sheets funneled condensation into collection bottles. "This is impossible," Dr. Martinez whispered, checking his readings again. "Dogs don't understand medical procedures. They can't operate IV equipment." The golden retriever watched them examine his work, panting slightly. Now that Sarah looked closer, she could see intelligence in those brown eyes that went beyond normal canine awareness. When the dog noticed her staring, he walked to a nearby cabinet and pawed at a specific drawer. Sarah opened it and found medical records. The dog sat and waited while she read through them, occasionally looking toward the baby as if checking his condition. "Patient name, Thomas Chen," Sarah read aloud, then stopped. "Chen, that's my family name." She flipped through more records, her hands shaking. The baby was 8 months old, born on Settlement 7 to Dr. Michael Chen and engineer Lisa Chen. Sarah's distant cousins, part of the extended family that had spread across human space seeking new opportunities. "The parents?" she asked Dr. Kim. "According to the records, they died 12 days ago, same as everyone else in the settlement." Sarah looked at the baby with new eyes. Little Thomas was family, the last surviving member of Settlement 7, kept alive by a dog that somehow understood exactly what needed to be done. But how? Dr. Martinez finished his examination of Thomas and carefully transferred him to their portable medical unit. The baby's vital signs stabilized immediately with proper equipment, but he remained unconscious. "We need to get him back to the ship," Martinez said. "I can keep him alive, but he needs a full medical facility for recovery." As they prepared to move Thomas, the dog became agitated. He whined and paced, clearly not wanting to leave the medical center. "It's okay, boy," Sarah said, kneeling down. "We're taking Thomas somewhere safe. You can come with us." The dog seemed to understand. He walked to another cabinet and pulled out a small backpack with his teeth, dropping it at Sarah's feet. Inside, she found more medical supplies, carefully organized in something that made her gasp. A data pad with a message recorded on it. Sarah activated the device and a man's voice filled the room. The timestamp showed it was recorded 11 days ago, just 1 day after the parent's death according to the medical records. "If anyone finds this, please know that Rex saved my son's life. I'm Dr. Michael Chen, and this is my final log entry. The plague has taken everyone, including my wife Lisa and myself. We're in the final stages now, but somehow Rex isn't affected." The voice paused, and Sarah could hear coughing in the background. 3 days ago, when we realized we were dying, Rex started bringing medical supplies to Thomas's room. We thought it was just random dog behavior, but then we watched him. He was following the medical procedures he'd observed us performing. Somehow he understood. Another pause, longer this time. Rex has been giving Thomas water, changing his position to prevent bed sores, even operating the basic medical equipment. I've never seen anything like it. It's as if he knows exactly what Thomas needs to survive. The message continued, and Sarah felt tears forming in her eyes. I'm leaving this recording because I need people to know what Rex has done. Dogs on Earth are loyal. But what Rex is showing goes beyond normal animal behavior. He's displaying problem-solving abilities and medical understanding that should be impossible for his species. Sarah looked at Rex, who was watching her intently as if he knew what the message contained. If Thomas survives, it will be because a dog became more than just a pet. He became a medic, a caretaker, and a guardian when no human could help. I don't understand how or why, but I'm grateful. Please take care of them both. The message ended, leaving the team in stunned silence. Dr. Kim ran her scanner over Rex again, this time looking for different readings. Captain, I'm detecting unusual neural activity in his brain. Patterns I've never seen in terrestrial animals. What kind of patterns? Similar to what we see in humans when they're processing complex problems or learning new skills. It's as if his brain is operating at a higher level than normal for his species. Sarah thought about the implications. Could exposure to the alien environment have caused this? Some kind of evolutionary jump? It's possible, but it would normally take generations, not weeks. Rex walked over to Thomas's portable medical unit and gently licked the baby's hand. Thomas stirred slightly, the first movement they'd seen from him since arriving. He's responding to Rex, Dr. Martinez observed. Look at his vital signs when the dog touches him. Stress levels decrease, heart rate stabilizes. Rex seemed to sense their attention and looked up at Sarah. In that moment, she saw something that took her breath away. The dog was trying to communicate with her, using body language more complex than any animal she'd ever encountered. He walked to the door, then back to Thomas, then to Sarah, then repeated the sequence. The message was clear. We need to go, but Thomas comes with us and I'm staying with Thomas. All right, Rex, Sarah said. You're part of the rescue team now. As they prepared to leave the medical center, Rex did something that surprised them all. He walked to each room in the pediatric ward, spending a moment at each empty bed. It looked almost like he was saying goodbye to the children who hadn't survived. When they finally left the building, Rex stayed close to Thomas's medical unit. Positioned so he could see the baby's face and monitor his breathing, Sarah realized that this dog had appointed himself as Thomas's personal guardian, and nothing would change that devotion. The walk back to the ship felt different now. They weren't just rescuing a dying baby and a loyal dog. They were witnessing something unprecedented in human experience. An animal that had evolved beyond its normal capabilities, out of pure love and dedication. But questions remained. How had Rex developed these abilities? Why was he immune to the plague that killed everyone else? And what would happen when word of his capabilities reached the broader human community? As they boarded the Mercy, Sarah looked back at Settlement 7 one last time. The empty building stood as a monument to human loss, but also to an extraordinary bond between species that had created something wonderful from tragedy. The journey back to Central Station took 4 days. During that time, Rex never left Thomas's side for more than a few minutes. He slept curled up next to the medical unit, ate his meals while watching the baby's monitors, and somehow seemed to understand every piece of equipment keeping Thomas alive. Dr. Martinez was amazed by Rex's behavior. He knows when Thomas is having breathing problems before our monitors do, he told Sarah on the second day. Yesterday, Rex started whining and pawing at the oxygen regulator 15 minutes before our alarms went off. When I checked, Thomas's blood oxygen was indeed dropping. Sarah watched through the medical bay window as Rex gently placed his paw on Thomas's chest, as if checking his heartbeat. The baby had been slowly improving since leaving Settlement 7, but he still hadn't opened his eyes. Dr. Kim, any new theories about Rex's abilities? Dr. Kim looked up from her research station, surrounded by brain scans and genetic analysis reports. I've been studying his neural patterns for 3 days now. What I'm seeing should be impossible. His brain is literally rewiring itself, creating new neural pathways at an accelerated rate. Could it be related to the plague somehow? That's what I thought initially, but Rex shows no signs of infection. Whatever changed him, it wasn't the same pathogen that killed the colonists. Sarah studied the data on Dr. Kim's screens. What if it wasn't the plague that changed him? What if it was something else on that planet? You mean environmental factors? Or something we haven't considered yet? Dr. Kim pulled up geological surveys of Settlement 7. The colony was built near unusual mineral deposits. The miners reported strange energy readings from deep underground, but nothing dangerous. They called it background resonance. Background resonance of what? Unknown. The readings were unlike anything in our databases. Sarah felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in her mind. What if that energy affected Rex differently than humans? What if instead of killing him like the plague killed everyone else, it enhanced him? Before Dr. Kim could respond, Rex started barking urgently from the medical bay. They rushed in to find Thomas opening his eyes for the first time since the rescue. The baby looked around weakly, his gaze unfocused until it landed on Rex. When Thomas saw the dog, something remarkable happened. The child smiled and reached out with a tiny hand toward Rex's face. Rex gently nuzzled Thomas's palm, and the baby's vital signs immediately improved across all monitors. Heart rate normalized, brain activity increased, and for the first time in weeks, Thomas made a sound. A soft giggle. The connection between them is extraordinary, Dr. Martinez whispered. Look at Thomas's neural activity when Rex touches him. It's like the dog is providing some kind of healing energy. Sarah watched the interaction between the baby and the dog, seeing something that took her breath away. Rex wasn't just caring for Thomas out of instinct or training. He genuinely loved this child, and somehow that love was translated into measurable medical benefits. Get me a secure channel to Central Command, Sarah ordered. They need to know what we've found before we arrive. An hour later, Sarah stood in her private cabin speaking to Admiral Morrison via encrypted video link. She had just finished explaining the situation at Settlement 7 and Rex's unprecedented abilities. Admiral Morrison leaned back in his chair, processing the information. Captain Chen, what you're describing sounds impossible. A dog that can perform medical procedures and somehow enhance a child's healing? Are you certain your team isn't suffering from some kind of space fatigue? Sir, I have documented evidence. Medical records, video recordings, brain scans, and testimony from 3 trained medical professionals. Rex isn't just a smart dog. He's exhibiting intelligence levels we've never seen in any animal species. And you believe this is connected to the plague outbreak? We think there are environmental factors on Settlement 7 that we don't understand yet. Something that affected Rex differently than it affected humans. Admiral Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Captain, if what you're telling me is true, this could change everything we know about animal intelligence and evolution. But it also raises serious questions. What kind of questions, sir? If Settlement 7 has some kind of energy that can enhance animal intelligence, what else might be down there? And why did it kill 3,000 humans while making one dog into a genius? Sarah hadn't considered that angle. You think there might be more? I think we need a full scientific expedition to that planet as soon as possible. And I think we need to keep Rex's abilities classified until we understand what we're dealing with. Classified? Sir, this is a medical miracle. Rex saved a child's life using abilities no dog should possess. The scientific community needs to know. The scientific community will know, but in a controlled manner. Captain, imagine what would happen if word got out that exposure to alien environments could enhance intelligence. We'd have thousands of people trying to get to Settlement 7. Most of them unprepared for whatever killed those colonists. Sarah realized he was right. The implications were staggering. What are your orders, sir? Bring Rex and the child to Central Medical Research Station. We'll have our best xenobiologists and veterinary specialists waiting. I want to understand exactly what we're dealing with before this goes public. And the child? Thomas needs family, people who can care for him. According to our records, you're his closest living relative, Captain. If you're willing, we'd like you to take custody while we study this situation. Sarah felt her heart skip. She'd never considered having children, too focused on her career and exploration. But Thomas was family, and after what he'd been through, he deserved someone who would understand what he'd experienced. I accept custody of Thomas, sir. Good. And Captain, take good care of that dog. He might be the most important animal in human history. After the call ended, Sarah returned to the medical bay. Rex looked up when she entered, his tail wagging slightly. Thomas was awake, playing with a small toy that Dr. Martinez had found in the ship's emergency supplies. Hey there, little guy, Sarah said softly. Approaching the medical unit, I'm Sarah. I'm going to take care of you from now on. Thomas looked at her with bright, curious eyes. When Sarah reached out to touch his hand, Rex moved closer as if introducing them to each other. In that moment, Sarah realized her life had just changed completely. She was now responsible for a baby who had survived the impossible, and a dog whose abilities defied everything science knew about animal intelligence. But watching Rex gently lick Thomas's fingers while the baby giggled, Sarah knew she wouldn't have it any other way. Whatever had happened on Settlement 7, it had created something beautiful, a bond between species that transcended normal understanding. The question now was whether humanity was ready for what that bond might mean for the future. Central Medical Research Station appeared like a gleaming jewel against the black of space, its rotating rings creating artificial gravity for the thousands of researchers and medical staff aboard. As the Mercy docked, Sarah could see teams of scientists waiting in the bay, their equipment already set up for immediate analysis. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the station's chief xenobiologist, was the first to board. Sarah had worked with her before during first contact protocols with new species, but she'd never seen Elena look so excited. "Captain Chen, thank you for following quarantine procedures. We've prepared isolation facilities that will allow us to study Rex and Thomas while keeping them comfortable." Sarah felt protective instincts rising. "Doctor, these aren't specimens. Rex is a hero who saved a child's life, and Thomas is my family. Of course, I understand completely, but what Rex has accomplished could revolutionize our understanding of intelligence evolution. We need to document everything before what?" Elena hesitated. "Before other agencies get involved. Admiral Morrison's report has already reached the Colonial Science Council and the Terraforming Authority. Everyone wants to study Rex." Sarah looked toward the medical bay where Rex was helping Dr. Martinez check Thomas's IV lines. The dog had learned the routine during their journey and now performed basic medical tasks without prompting. "Rex isn't going anywhere without Thomas, and Thomas isn't going anywhere without me. We've arranged adjoining quarters. You'll have full access to Thomas, and Rex will never be separated from either of you." "But Sarah, the tests we need to run are extensive. Neural mapping, genetic analysis, cognitive assessment protocols. Will any of it hurt him? Nothing invasive. We're dealing with cognitive enhancement, not just animal intelligence. Rex is still fundamentally a dog, but with capabilities that could represent the next step in evolution." They moved Thomas and Rex to the station's bio-research wing, a section designed for studying alien life forms. The quarters Elena had arranged were comfortable, designed to feel like a home rather than a laboratory. Rex explored the new space carefully, sniffing every corner before returning to Thomas's bedside. The baby was much stronger now, able to sit up with support and interact with his surroundings. "The child's recovery rate is also unusual," Dr. Martinez reported to the research team. "He should have suffered permanent damage from the malnutrition and pathogen exposure, but his neural development appears completely normal." Dr. Vasquez made notes on her data pad. Could Rex's presence be providing some kind of therapeutic benefit beyond emotional support? That's what we're hoping to understand. Over the next 3 days, Rex submitted to a battery of tests with remarkable patience. He seemed to understand that the researchers were trying to help, cooperating fully with brain scans, blood tests, and cognitive assessments. The results astounded everyone. "His IQ tests are off the charts," reported Dr. James Park, the station's animal behavior specialist. "We designed cognitive puzzles that would challenge graduate students, and Rex solved them in minutes." Dr. Vasquez showed Sarah brain scans that looked more like human neural patterns than canine ones. "Look at these prefrontal cortex readings. Rex is showing activity in areas that shouldn't even exist in dogs. It's as if his brain developed entirely new regions. But he's still a dog," Sarah observed, watching Rex play fetch with Thomas using a soft toy. "He still has all his normal behaviors. That's what makes this so remarkable. The enhancement didn't replace his natural instincts. It built upon them. His loyalty and protective nature provided the foundation for developing medical knowledge and problem-solving abilities." Dr. Park joined them, his expression troubled. "We need to talk about the implications of this discovery. If the environmental factors on Settlement 7 can enhance intelligence in dogs, they might work on other species too." "Other species like humans?" Sarah asked. "Possibly, but there's something else. I've been analyzing the plague that killed the colonists, and I think I know why Rex survived while humans died." He pulled up molecular diagrams on the lab's main display. "The pathogen targets neural pathways that are unique to human brain structure. Dogs' brains are organized differently, so they're naturally immune, but the energy readings from Settlement 7 seem to have triggered an adaptation response in Rex." Sarah studied the data. You're saying the planet's environment tried to enhance the humans too, but the plague killed them before the enhancement could take effect? That's my theory. Rex's natural immunity gave him time for the enhancement process to work. Dr. Vasquez looked thoughtful. If that's true, then Settlement 7 isn't just the site of a tragedy. It's potentially the key to advancing intelligence across multiple species. Which explains why so many agencies want access to Rex, Sarah realized. Over the following days, representatives from various organizations arrived at the station. The Terraforming Authority wanted to study how Rex's abilities could help in colonization efforts. The Colonial Defense Force saw potential military applications. Even the Interspecies Communication Institute sent delegates, hoping Rex could help bridge understanding between humans and alien species. Each group made compelling arguments for why they needed access to Rex. But Sarah found herself becoming increasingly protective of both the dog and Thomas. The breakthrough came on the 7th day, during a routine play session between Rex and Thomas. Dr. Vasquez was recording their interaction when something extraordinary happened. Thomas, now 10 months old and much healthier, was babbling as babies do, but Rex responded to the sounds as if they were actual words, fetching specific toys based on Thomas's vocalizations. "Are you seeing this?" Dr. Vasquez whispered to her assistant. "Rex is interpreting pre-linguistic communication patterns, but then something even more amazing occurred. Rex began making sounds back to Thomas, not barks or whines, but deliberate vocalizations that seemed to mimic human speech patterns. Thomas giggled and clapped, clearly understanding whatever Rex was trying to communicate. "They're talking to each other," Sarah breathed, watching the exchange. Rex is learning to communicate like a human and Thomas is responding. Dr. Park rushed over with recording equipment. "This changes everything. We're not just looking at enhanced intelligence in Rex. We're witnessing the development of a new form of interspecies communication." As if sensing their excitement, Rex looked directly at the research team and spoke his first clear word. "Thomas." The room fell silent. Everyone stared at Rex, who wagged his tail and returned his attention to the baby, completely unaware that he had just made history. Sarah knelt beside Rex, her heart pounding. "Can you say my name, boy?" Rex looked at her thoughtfully, then made a sound that was unmistakably, "Sarah." Dr. Vasquez grabbed her colleague's arm. "We need to contact Admiral Morrison immediately. Rex isn't just an enhanced dog anymore. He's becoming something entirely new." But as Sarah looked at Rex playing with Thomas, she wondered if the scientists were missing the most important part of the story. Rex hadn't developed these abilities for science or advancement. He'd become extraordinary because of love, his unconditional devotion to protecting and caring for a helpless child. That love had literally changed his brain, his capabilities, and now his ability to communicate. Whatever forces had been at work on Settlement 7, they had been guided by the purest emotion in the universe. The question now was whether humanity would recognize that love was the key to everything Rex had become. The news of Rex's ability to speak spread through the scientific community like wildfire, despite Admiral Morrison's attempts to keep the discovery classified. Within a week, Central Medical Research Station was surrounded by ships from every major human colony, alien research vessels and media craft desperate for footage of the miracle dog. Sarah found herself at the center of a storm she never wanted. Representatives from the Galactic Science Consortium demanded access to Rex for the good of all intelligent species. The Human Enhancement Project claimed Rex proved their theories about forced evolution. Even the mysterious Kythera, an ancient alien species known for their advanced understanding of consciousness, sent an emissary requesting an audience. "We can't keep this contained much longer," Admiral Morrison told Sarah during a secure video conference. "The footage of Rex speaking has leaked. Half the galaxy knows about him now." Sarah held Thomas in her lap while Rex sat beside them, his intelligent eyes following the conversation. The dog had learned to understand video calls and seemed particularly interested. When Admiral Morrison spoke, "People are calling him everything from humanity's greatest discovery to proof that we're not the only intelligent species that can evolve rapidly," Morrison continued. "There are protests, religious movements declaring him divine, and 3 different corporations trying to patent his genetic markers." "Patent his genetics?" Sarah's voice rose in anger, waking Thomas. Rex immediately moved closer, gently nuzzling the baby back to sleep. He's not property. He's family. I know that and you know that, but the legal implications are staggering. If Rex's intelligence is the result of environmental exposure that can be replicated, then every spacefaring species in the galaxy wants access to Settlement 7. Dr. Vasquez entered the conversation, her expression grave. Admiral, we've made another discovery. The analysis of Rex's neural tissue samples shows his enhancement is ongoing. He's still evolving, getting smarter every day. How much smarter? His vocabulary has expanded to over 200 words in the past week. He's learning mathematical concepts, reading basic text, and yesterday he started asking questions. Sarah looked down at Rex, who was indeed reading a medical journal that Dr. Martinez had left behind. The dog was turning pages with his paw and seemed to be comprehending the content. What kind of questions? Morrison asked. Dr. Vasquez hesitated. He asked Dr. Park why humans fear him. He wanted to know if Thomas would grow up to be afraid of dogs who could think like people. And then he asked the question that's keeping me awake at night, which was, he asked if there were others like him on other planets and if they were lonely. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. Rex wasn't just developing intelligence. He was developing consciousness, self-awareness, and emotional complexity that came with understanding his unique situation. Rex, Sarah said softly. Are you listening to this conversation? The dog looked up from his reading and nodded, a gesture he'd learned by observing humans. Yes, Sarah. Important talk about Rex and Thomas and family. Admiral Morrison's face went pale on the screen. Captain Chen, he understands everything we're discussing, Sarah confirmed. Rex, do you know that other people want to study you? Rex tilted his head thoughtfully. Many people want to understand how Rex became Smart Dog. Rex understands, but Rex only wants to protect Thomas and stay with Sarah family. Dr. Vasquez leaned forward. Rex, would you be willing to help us understand how you became so intelligent? It could help other animals, maybe even help humans. Rex considered this carefully. If helping others makes Thomas safe and happy, Rex helps. But Rex does not leave Thomas. Never. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert from the station's communications center. Dr. Park rushed in, his face flushed with excitement and concern. Admiral, we have a situation. The Kithera emissary has arrived, and they're requesting immediate audience with Rex, but that's not the concerning part. What is it, Doctor? They brought something with them. Another enhanced animal from their homeworld. A creature they call a thought shaper that underwent similar intelligence enhancement 3,000 years ago. Sarah felt her blood run cold. You mean this has happened before? Apparently, the Kithera have been studying intelligence enhancement across species for millennia. They claim Rex represents the fastest evolutionary leap they've ever documented. Admiral Morrison leaned forward. Are they here to help or to take him? Unknown, sir. But they've specifically requested that Rex be allowed to meet their thought shaper. They claim it will be important for his psychological development. Rex had been listening intently to this exchange. Now he stood up and walked to the window overlooking the docking bay. In the distance, a sleek alien vessel unlike any human design was approaching the station. Rex feels something, the dog said quietly. Like family feeling, but different. Old family feeling. Sarah joined him at the window. What do you mean, boy? Rex has always been only one. Only Smart Dog. Maybe Rex not only one anymore. The profound loneliness in his voice broke Sarah's heart. She'd been so focused on protecting Rex from those who wanted to exploit him that she hadn't considered how isolated he must feel, as the only member of his kind. Admiral, Sarah said, making a decision that surprised even herself. I want to meet with the Kithera emissary. Rex should have the chance to meet another enhanced being, but only under controlled conditions. Captain, the security risks are outweighed by Rex's emotional needs. He's not just a scientific marvel, Admiral. He's a sentient being who's been carrying the burden of his uniqueness alone. Dr. Vasquez nodded in agreement. Sarah's right. Rex's psychological health is just as important as his physical health. Isolation could damage his continued development. 2 hours later, Sarah, Rex, and Thomas were escorted to a secure meeting chamber where the Kithera emissary waited. The alien was tall and graceful, with silver skin and large, wise eyes that seemed to hold centuries of knowledge. Beside the Kithera stood a creature that took Sarah's breath away. It resembled a cross between a wolf and a large cat, with intelligent golden eyes and fur that seemed to shimmer with its own light. When it saw Rex, it made a sound that was almost musical. Rex responded immediately, making sounds Sarah had never heard from him before. Not quite barks, not quite words, but something entirely new. They are greeting each other in the old language, the Kithera emissary explained, its voice melodic and calming. The language that enhanced minds develop when they transcend their original species limitations. Sarah watched in amazement as Rex and the alien creature, the thought shaper, seemed to carry on an entire conversation without words, communicating through expressions, sounds, and body language that was far more complex than anything she'd seen. Thomas, meanwhile, was reaching toward both creatures with obvious delight, giggling at their interaction. "Your Rex," the Kithera said to Sarah, "is remarkable even by our standards. In 3,000 years we have never seen such rapid development driven purely by emotional bonds." "What do you mean?" "Most intelligence enhancement occurs through planned exposure to consciousness-expanding energies. But Rex's transformation was triggered by love, by an absolute commitment to protecting life. This makes him unique in the galaxy." The thought shaper approached Thomas and gently touched the baby's hand with a paw that glowed softly. Thomas laughed and grabbed the creature's fur, showing no fear. "The young one carries traces of the same energy that transformed Rex," the Kithera observed. "He may develop enhanced capabilities as he grows." Sarah felt a chill. "Is that dangerous for him?" "Not dangerous, wonderful. The child and the dog are bonded at a level we rarely see. They will grow together, learn together, and perhaps teach the galaxy something new about the power of love to transcend species barriers." Rex returned to Sarah's side, his eyes bright with something she could only describe as hope. For the first time since his transformation began, he wasn't alone. The meeting with the Kithera changed everything. Rex spent 3 days learning from the thought shaper, whose name translated roughly to mind that bridges hearts. During their time together, Rex's communication abilities exploded beyond anything the researchers had imagined possible. "He's not just learning words anymore," Dr. Vasquez explained to the assembled team of scientists, officials, and media representatives who had gathered for what Admiral Morrison called the Great Revelation. "Rex is developing his own language, one that incorporates concepts from multiple species." Sarah stood at the podium with Thomas in her arms and Rex at her side, facing representatives from 12 different planets, 40 news organizations, and countless scientific institutions. The baby played happily with a toy while Rex sat calmly, his intelligent eyes taking in the crowd. "Ladies, gentlemen, and honored beings," Admiral Morrison began, "we are here to address the questions surrounding Rex and the events at Settlement 7. Captain Chen will speak first." Sarah stepped to the microphone, her heart pounding. She'd faced hostile alien species and natural disasters, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. 3 weeks ago, my crew responded to a distress call from Settlement 7. We found the aftermath of a tragedy that claimed 3,000 lives. But we also found something beautiful, proof that love can transcend every barrier we think exists between species. She looked down at Rex, who gave her an encouraging nod. Rex didn't ask to become what he is. He became extraordinary because a baby needed him to be extraordinary. When human medical knowledge wasn't enough, Rex learned it. When human hands couldn't operate the equipment, Rex figured out how to use his paws. When human voices couldn't comfort a dying child, Rex found a way to communicate hope. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. The scientists tell us that environmental factors on Settlement 7 triggered Rex's evolution. They talk about neural enhancement and cognitive development. They're not wrong, but they're missing the most important part of the story. Sarah knelt beside Rex, placing her hand on his head. "Rex, tell them what you told me this morning." Rex stepped closer to the microphone, his voice clear and confident. Rex became smart because Thomas needed Rex to be smart. Love made Rex more than dog. Love makes all beings more than what they were before. The auditorium erupted in gasps and murmurs. Seeing Rex speak on video was one thing, but hearing him express complex emotional concepts in person was overwhelming. Dr. Elena Vasquez joined them at the podium. "Our research confirms what Rex just told you. The energy on Settlement 7 doesn't randomly enhance intelligence. It responds to emotional catalysts, specifically to selfless love and the desire to protect others." She activated a holographic display showing brain scans and energy readings. We've run hundreds of tests and the pattern is consistent. Rex's enhancement accelerated whenever he was caring for Thomas. The stronger his protective instincts, the faster his cognitive development. A reporter raised her hand. Dr. Vasquez, does this mean other animals could be enhanced the same way? Potentially, but only under specific conditions. The subject must be capable of selfless love, must be in a situation where that love is desperately needed, and must be exposed to the unique energy signatures we've found on Settlement 7. Another reporter called out, "What about humans? Could this process work on people?" Dr. Vasquez exchanged glances with Admiral Morrison. "Our analysis suggests that humans are actually too advanced for this type of enhancement. The process seems to work by filling evolutionary gaps, bringing other species up to human-level intelligence and beyond. Humans may have already passed the point where this type of rapid evolution is possible." Rex stepped forward again. "May Rex speak to people?" Admiral Morrison nodded, and Rex approached the microphone with dignity that impressed everyone present. Rex knows many beings want to study Rex, want to understand how Rex became smart. Rex wants to help. But Rex has learned something important from wise Kithara friend. He paused, looking out at the assembled crowd with eyes that held ancient wisdom, despite being less than a year old in his enhanced form. Enhancement without love becomes dangerous. If beings try to become smart without learning to love more, they become cruel smart instead of good smart. Rex only wants to help if help makes Galaxy more loving, not more dangerous. The Kithara emissary, who had been observing from the side of the auditorium, glided forward. "The young enhanced one speaks wisdom beyond his years. Our species has observed forced intelligence enhancement across many worlds. Those that succeed in creating lasting positive change are always driven by emotional bonds and altruistic motivations." A military representative stood up. "With respect the potential applications for enhanced intelligence in defense scenarios." Rex growled softly, and the man stopped speaking. It wasn't an aggressive growl, but it carried a weight of warning that everyone in the room felt. "Rex will not help beings hurt other beings," the dog said firmly. "Rex learned to be smart to save life, not to take life. Rex only helps projects that protect and heal." Sarah felt a surge of pride. Rex had just established ethical boundaries for his cooperation, something many humans struggled to do when faced with powerful interests. Admiral Morrison stepped back to the microphone. "Based on Rex's preferences and our analysis of the situation, I'm announcing the formation of the Interspecies Enhancement Ethics Council. Rex will be the first non-human voting member, with full veto power over any research involving Settlement 7's energy sources." The crowd erupted in questions and debate, but Rex calmly walked back to Sarah and Thomas. The baby reached for Rex's face, babbling happily, and Rex responded with gentle sounds that made Thomas giggle. "Sarah," Rex said quietly. "Rex ready to go home now. Thomas needs normal family time, not more science meetings." Home. Sarah realized that despite all the offers they'd received to study Rex, despite the incredible opportunities for fame and advancement, what they all wanted most was simply to be a family. "Where do you want home to be, Rex?" The dog thought carefully. "Place where Thomas can play safely. Place where Rex can help other animals learn if they want to learn. Place where Sarah can do important work but still have time for family." Dr. Vasquez approached them as the crowd began to disperse. "Sarah, I have a proposal. The research station is going to establish a permanent facility near Settlement 7 to study the enhancement effects responsibly. We'd like you to head the project, with Rex as our primary consultant and Thomas in a safe family environment." Rex wagged his tail. "Good idea. Rex can help other animals who become smart lonely. Thomas can grow up knowing he is special because love made him special, not because science made him special." Sarah looked at her unusual family, a baby who might develop extraordinary abilities as he grew, and a dog who had literally evolved out of love. "I think that sounds perfect." As they prepared to leave the auditorium, Thomas spoke his first clear word, reaching toward Rex. "Wex." Rex's tail wagged so hard his entire body wiggled. Thomas said Rex's name. "Thomas learning to talk," Sarah laughed, realizing that with all the focus on Rex's extraordinary development, they'd almost missed Thomas hitting normal baby milestones. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about their story wasn't the impossible becoming possible, but the way love made ordinary moments feel miraculous. The galaxy was watching Rex, studying him, learning from him. But Rex only cared about one thing: being the best protector, friend, and family member he could be to the humans who had become his whole world. 2 years after the events at Settlement 7, the story of Rex and Thomas had become legend across the galaxy. The footage of their reunion, Rex's first words, and his speech to the Galactic Assembly had been viewed by billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Sarah stood in the observation deck of New Haven Station, the research facility they had established in orbit around Settlement 7. Below them, the planet's surface showed signs of careful, respectful study. Small research outposts dotted the landscape. But the colonists' original settlement remained untouched, a memorial to those who had died and a reminder of the love that had transformed tragedy into hope. "Sarah, Mama, look." Rex teaching new friend? Thomas, now almost 3 years old, pressed his face against the observation window. His speech was remarkably advanced for his age, though Dr. Vasquez attributed that to growing up around Rex rather than any enhancement effects. Sarah followed his pointing finger to see Rex in the station's animal therapy center, gently showing a recently enhanced cat how to operate a medical scanner. The cat, a former stray from Earth who had been caring for abandoned kittens when exposed to enhanced crystal samples, was learning to assist in veterinary procedures. The Interspecies Enhancement Ethics Council, which Rex had helped establish, now oversaw a careful program of voluntary enhancement. Animals who demonstrated exceptional care for others, particularly those in rescue or medical assistance roles, could request exposure to the Settlement 7 energies. The results were remarkable, though none had developed as rapidly or completely as Rex. "Luna learning fast," Rex said as he joined them on the observation deck. His vocabulary now encompassed multiple languages, and he could communicate fluently with representatives from dozens of species. But Luna scared of big responsibility. Rex remembers feeling scared too. Sarah smiled, remembering Rex's early days of confusion and overwhelming new awareness. "You've become quite the teacher, Rex." Rex learned from best teachers. Sarah taught Rex about human kindness. Thomas taught Rex about joy. Kither of Friends taught Rex about wisdom. Now Rex teaches others that being smart means helping, not controlling. Thomas ran to Rex and hugged the dog's neck. At nearly 3, Thomas was developing his own special connection to enhanced animals. He seemed to understand their communications before they fully learned to speak, and his presence had a calming effect on newly enhanced creatures. "Wex, will Luna be happy like you?" Rex nuzzled Thomas gently. "Luna will find her own kind of happy. Rex is happy because Rex has Thomas and Sarah family. Luna has kitten family she protects. Different families, same love." Dr. Vasquez approached them with a data pad, her face glowing with excitement. "Sarah, you need to see this. We just received a transmission from the Centauri colony." She activated a holographic display showing a message from Dr. Amanda Ross, a veterinary researcher on humanity's furthest colony. "Captain Chen, Rex, Thomas, I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to share something incredible that happened here. We had a mining accident that trapped 12 workers underground. Our rescue teams couldn't reach them, but a local dog named Bruno kept digging at a specific spot despite our efforts to call him away." The hologram showed footage of a determined German Shepherd refusing to leave a collapsed mine entrance. "We thought Bruno was just being stubborn, but then something extraordinary happened. He started problem solving. He figured out how to operate our ground-penetrating radar, led us to weak points in the debris, and somehow coordinated with our rescue teams in a way that shouldn't have been possible." Sarah felt her heart skip as she realized where this was going. The rescue was successful, and all 12 miners survived. But Bruno is different now. He's not enhanced like Rex, but he's definitely more intelligent than any dog should be. Our xenobiologists think emotional stress and the desire to save lives might trigger minor enhancement, even without exposure to Settlement 7 energies. Rex was listening intently, his tail wagging with excitement. "Bruno is good dog. Bruno learned that love makes all beings stronger." The message continued. "We're seeing similar reports from colonies across human space. Animals in crisis situations, particularly those trying to save human lives, are showing increased problem-solving abilities and emotional intelligence. It's as if Rex's story is inspiring evolution itself." Dr. Vasquez paused the message.
"Sarah, we're getting reports like this from 47 different colonies."
"The phenomenon seems to be spreading." Thomas clapped his hands. More friends for Wex. But Sarah felt a deeper significance in what they were witnessing. It's not just about the enhancement, is it? Rex's story is changing how humans and animals relate to each other. Exactly, Dr. Vasquez confirmed. Colonial reports show increased adoption rates for rescue animals, more funding for animal welfare programs, and a fundamental shift in how people view animal intelligence and emotional capacity. Rex sat quietly for a moment, processing this information. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight of responsibility that Sarah had grown to recognize. Rex understands now why Kithara friend said Rex was special, not because Rex became smart fastest, but because Rex showed Galaxy that love between species makes all beings better. A new voice joined their conversation as Admiral Morrison materialized in hologram form, calling from Earth. Captain Chen, Rex, I have news from the Galactic Council. The Kithara have proposed something unprecedented, the creation of an interspecies family protection treaty. It would establish rights for enhanced animals, protection for their human families, and guidelines for ethical enhancement across all member species. Rex's ears perked up. All species can have families like Rex Sarah Thomas' family? That's the goal. Rex, your story has inspired legislation that will protect bonds between species throughout the galaxy. Sarah felt tears forming in her eyes as she understood the full scope of what had begun with a dog's refusal to leave a dying baby's side. There's more, Admiral Morrison continued. The treaty includes provisions for enhanced beings to serve as ambassadors between species. Rex, if you're willing, you would be humanity's first interspecies family ambassador. Rex looked at Sarah and Thomas, then back at the hologram. What does ambassador do? Help other families like ours form and thrive. Teach beings that differences in species don't matter when hearts are connected. Show the galaxy that love really can transcend any barrier. Thomas tugged on Rex's fur. Rex help other families be happy? Yes, Thomas, little brother. Rex helps families be happy. Sarah knelt beside both of them, her heart full. So, Rex, are you ready to change the galaxy? Rex wagged his tail and looked out at the stars visible through the observation window. Rex already changed Galaxy. Now Rex helps Galaxy change itself. As if summoned by their conversation, animals throughout the station began gathering at the observation deck. Luna, the enhanced cat, arriving with several newly awakened creatures, therapy animals who had bonded with human staff, and even some ordinary pets who seemed to sense the importance of the moment. Thomas giggled as he was surrounded by dozens of animals, all drawn by the same force that had first motivated Rex. The simple, powerful desire to be part of a loving family. Look, Wex, everyone wants to be family. Rex surveyed the scene, his intelligent eyes shining with contentment. In 2 short years, he had evolved from a loyal pet to a galactic ambassador. But his greatest achievement remained unchanged, being the best friend a little boy could have. Yes, Thomas. Everyone wants family, and Rex will make sure everyone gets family. As the stars wheeled overhead and the galaxy continued its ancient dance, a dog, a child, and a woman who had found each other in tragedy continued to prove that love really was the most powerful force in the universe. The story that began with one dog's refusal to leave one dying baby's side had become a legend that would inspire countless species for generations to come. But for Rex, Sarah, and Thomas, it remained what it had always been, simply a family staying together, no matter what. And across the galaxy, families of every species looked to the stars and knew that love would always find a way.